Hey viewers, welcome to my channel History Hub. Today we will know about the history of United States part 16. These vacations on the part of the growing and middle class with the corruption and inefficiency of politicals as usuals and the failures to deal with the increasingly important urban and industrial problems led to the dynamic and progressive movement starting in the 1819 in very major and city and state and at the national level as well and education and medicine and industry the progressive call from the modern modernizations and reform of described and in situations the emulation for corporation in the politics and the introduction of the efficiency as characterizations of change and the leading and politicians from both and parties are most notable their Dodd and Richard Claude and Charles Evans and Hug and Robert Leo and Forrest won the Republican side and Williams Jennings Bryan and Woodrow Williams one was domestic side and took up the cause and progressive reform women became the specifically involved in demands for women suffrage and prohibition and better schools and their most prominent leader was James Adams of Chicago, who created a settlement house and marketing journalists and such as and Upton and Sinclair and Lincoln's and steel fairs and the Jayhawks of rich and exposed and corporation in business and government along the rampart and in their city and poverty, progressive and implemented antitrust laws and illegal acts such as industrial market and faking and drugs and railroads for new and constitutional Adam the 16th and through and 19th and isolated from the progressive and activities of bring to the federation income tax and direction to the censorers and protection heaven women and suffrage the period was also major and transformation on the making system with the creation of the federal reserve system in the 1913 and they are arrived and corporate banking in the US with the founding the first and creation union 1908 the progressive movement latest and through the 1920 the most active and period was 1900 and 1918 women suffrage. The women suffrage movement began the June 1848 and Nation and Convention of the Liberty Party and President candidate Great and Smith and Great for the established women and suffered as a part plank won the month of later his cousin and Elizabeth Candy and Stanton and joined with the Luchita, a mode of women and organized with the Athens Fakian calls and conventions, featuring the declarations and sentiments determining equal rights of women, the health right to the vote, and many of those activities became the political award and during to the abolition movement of the women's right and came begins and during to the first of punishment was a by lead and Sentin and Lucky Stone and by Susan B. Anthony among the many others Stone and Filipina Rights Davis and organized and experiment and influential nations women rights and convention in 1850 the movement reorganized after the Civil War and grave in the experience and came beginner and many from who had worked and populations in the women's and Christian temperature union by the end of 19th century a few western states with granted women full voting rights and North women had made and significant legal victories and gaining rights within the areas and such as the property and child and custody. Around the 1912 and the finalist and movement began to the reawaken and putting the empressives and to his demand for equally and accruance that a corporation to American and politicians demanded and for fortifications by women because men could not to do job and protested became an increasingly common and suffragettes and allies fall and led by parades through the capital and major cities, and foul plight and from the large and national American women and suffrage associations and WSA, which and forward more moderate operated and supported the Democratic Party and Woodrow Wilson led by careers and campaign Kate and the formed the more militant nation's women party and suffragans who were arrested during their and silence and sentinels and pickets at the White House. The first aim such and statics was used and were taken political procedures. The world and until and suffragists and agreement that only a man could fight a war and therefore only men and deserts and the right to vote was reported by the an alternative checks and protection. It's time the forts and the American won the home and front on the war. Across to the grateful and nation given the right and to vote fourth moon most western and state the had already given to making the right, right to vote in state and national elections in the representative form. Those states and including the first woman and Jane Tennant Rankin of Montana and demonstrated and then women and suffrage was a success. And the main residents came to the south, where the white hand leaders were the warrior or the street black women voting. And Congress passed the 19 redemption in the 1919 when women could vote in 1920 and it became the legal and women voters of the nation's women and party and began the lobbying of full equally the equals and right amendment which and would pass in Congress and during to the second wife of the women's movement in 1972 and politicians response to the electorate and embracing uses of special interest to the women, specifically prohibitions child health and wild speech. The main surge of women and voting came in 1928 one big city and machines and realized the are needed and supported of women to elected Smith and Catholic from New York City. Meanwhile, and potential mobilized women to potentials and vote for Republican Herbert Hoover's women satisfied and discriminating for the right vote in 1930 and women service and trade in New York City in 1917, crying the product and with the significant more than millions. Women surrounded by the Porters and English and Yiddish supporting Franklin, Bruce Herbert and Lehman. American Labor Party teach other women how to the vote 1936. Thank you for watching my videos. Please like, share and subscribe my channel for upcoming videos. Goodbye.